Okay, today I am here to talk to you all about camping in Great Smoky Mountains National Park. And this national park is pretty big, it's quite complex, and there are 10 different campgrounds in this park. However, I really only recommend staying in 3 of these campgrounds as a first-time visitor, so let's talk you through your options. My name is Ash. I'm a former park ranger and the founder of Dirt in My Shoes, and today is all about camping in the Smokies. And so this park is beloved by many people. It's the most busiest national park in the United States. And so it can get a little bit complicated to make your reservations, to get in there to the right campgrounds, and to really plan your trip in a way that makes sense. So if you're hoping to see the best of the Smokies and you're hoping to camp each night, then let's talk you through your options. A few things you'll want to note. So Great Smoky Mountains has 10 different campgrounds. I am talking about the front country campgrounds. These are campgrounds that you can drive your vehicle to, that you pull into your spot and unload from there. I'm not talking about any backcountry options, anything you have to hike into, but you can find more information about those on the Great Smoky Mountains website. But today, just car camping, front country camping, and these 10 different campgrounds. You'll want to note that there are a few things you'll want to know about the campgrounds in the Smokies. First, there are no full hookups. Some of the campgrounds have some small electric hookups, not for trailers or RVs, but for like CPAP machines and things like that. But otherwise, there's really no hookups in the park. You're going to be dry camping. It's going to be a little bit more primitive if you're wanting to be in the park. The other thing that you'll want to note is there is a 14-day stay limit in the Smokies. And so you want to keep that in mind as you're planning. Most people don't even come close to staying that long, but if you have a little bit more flexibility and you're wanting to spend a little more time in the area, just be aware of that 14-day limit. You can also have 6 people per campsite. And so if you have more people than that in your group, you'll need to book separate campsites. You'll need to book more campsites to accommodate your group. And there are 2 vehicles allowed per campsite. So if you have a trailer or an RV or something like that, you'll want to keep that in mind too. The last thing is Great Smoky Mountains is definitely bear country. There are bears everywhere in this park. And so you'll want to read up on the best practices for storing your food and storing your toiletries, making sure that you are ready to camp in bear country. That's a big deal in this park. So let's jump in though and talk about the specific campgrounds. I want to show you on a map where they are and my recommendations for where I think you should stay as a first-time visitor. Okay, so here's our map of Great Smoky Mountains National Park. This is the Tennessee side over here. This is the North Carolina side over here. And basically what you're going to want to look at, so if you're a first-time visitor to the park, you're going to be spending the majority of your time on these main park roads, which is this road from Cades Cove over to Sugarlands, and then from Sugarlands down to the Oconaluftee Visitor Center. So these are the main park roads where most of the activities that you're going to want to do, most of the hiking trails, the views, everything like that are found along one of these 2 roads pretty much. So when you're looking at camping, and this is why I recommend the campgrounds that I do, because there are only 3 campgrounds along these roads. So you've got the Cades Cove campground over here, you've got Elkmont right in here, and you've got Smokemont right down in here. And as a first-time visitor, if you're really wanting to get to those main attractions in Great Smoky Mountains National Park, those are the 3 campgrounds that make the most sense. If you don't stay in one of those 3 campgrounds, then you will just be adding a lot of extra drive time to your adventures. You'll be spending a lot more time in the car. And you won't be able to access the main points of interest in the park as easily. So let me show you on a map what I'm talking about. Okay, so back at the map, so we've got the Cades Cove right here, Elkmont right here, Smokemont right there. Those are my top 3 choices. But as you look around the park, you'll notice there are some other campgrounds along the perimeter of Great Smoky Mountains National Park. So if we follow this road over here, we've got the Cosby Campground, We've got Big Creek over here. We've got Cataloochee over here, Balsam Mountain. We've got Deep Creek down here, circling back around Abrams Creek, Look Rock. All of those are campgrounds in Great Smoky Mountains National Park. The problem being that you can notice that most of these are just at a dead-end road. And so if you camp in Abrams Creek, for example, you're over here, so you follow this road in and you stay at Abrams Creek, that's fine. It's a nice campground. It's beautiful in there. But if you want to get to any of the main things to do in the Smokies, you're really far away. You've got to drive back out here, and then you've got to go all the way out and around and come in through here to get to Cades Cove. And Cades Cove is the far end of the main things to do. So from Cades Cove, you know, you're still having to drive all the way over here to get to things like Clingman's Dome or the Alum Cave Trail or anything over in here. So that's why I say that I don't recommend those 7 outlying campgrounds as a first-time visitor. It's not that there's anything wrong with those campgrounds. It's not that they're not beautiful or that there's not things to do right there. It's just that if you've never been to the park, staying in one of those outlying campgrounds really puts you at a disadvantage for seeing the main sites in the park. So again, I would go for Cades Cove, Elkmont, or Smokemont if you're a first-time visitor. If you click over to dirtinmyshoes.com, I have a full article that will walk you through all of your camping options in the Smokies. This article has the information that you need to know. It has a breakdown by campground so that you can really decide which one you want to stay at. And it has all the information here, like you'll see when it's open, the maximum RV length, hookups, dump stations, fees, all of that is here. And so if you're wanting to dig a lot deeper into what campgrounds are available to you, then that is where you can do that. And I will link this article in the description below this video. As far as what I would do personally as you're planning out your camping trip to the Smokies, I really like the Elkmont campground. That one is so centrally located to everything. You're only a few minutes from Gatlinburg. You're a short drive over to Cades Cove. You're perfectly situated to get on the Newfound Gap Road and get up and over to Clingman's Dome and things like that. And so Elkmont really is the ideal campground to stay in if you want to stay in the same spot for the whole time and you just want to be in a really good location. If you want to try out a few different campgrounds, then I do recommend splitting it. If you want to stay in Cades Cove for a couple of nights and then move over to Smokemont for a couple of nights, that would make a lot of sense. That would allow you to be close to certain areas of the park and then move and get close to other areas of the park. So that works really well. If you want to stay, for example, if you want to stay in like Elkmont or one of those campgrounds along the inner roads, you could do that for a couple nights. And then if you wanted to get a taste of what those perimeter campgrounds feel like and what they look like, and you want a quieter experience in the Smokies, then you could do that for a night or two. I just wouldn't base your whole trip out of one of the outside outlying campgrounds that's not Cades Cove, Elkmont, or Smokemont. But if you wanted to spend a night there just to see what it's like, that would work too. I would just base your trip off one of those 3 campgrounds that I recommend. And then if you have extra time, you can move a little bit out to some of the quieter areas. So now let's take a look at how to get a campground reservation, because these campgrounds are on a reservation system. You will need to know how to navigate this so that you can get the campsite that you want. And so I want to show you a quick walkthrough of how to do that. Okay, so first you'll go to recreation.gov. This is the site that the parks use. And we're going to Great Smoky Mountains National Park. You will need to make an account for recreation.gov. So I recommend you do that in advance before you need to make your reservation, and then make sure you're logged in. And when you go to Great Smoky Mountains National Park, you'll see all the different options for things that you can reserve and the different campgrounds that are here. I want to show you Elkmont because that's my top choice. By the way, Cataloochee is really cool. That's one of those side ones, and there's a lot of elk there, but the road to get in there is a little bit hairy. It's not great for bigger vehicles or trailers, just FYI. But it is beautiful. These side ones really are beautiful. Deep Creek is really nice. There's a really nice trail there that takes you to 3 different waterfalls. But again, it's just a little bit further removed from everything else. And so it's not to say they're not great. It's just the location is really the biggest thing that you'll want to be looking at. Okay, so I found the Elkmont campground. And from there, what you're going to do is you're going to put in your dates. There is a fair amount of availability. So these campgrounds aren't as competitive as some of the other national parks you might be used to. It's not too bad. So let's put in, we'll go from the 18th to the 20th, see what's available. From here, if you have any special equipment, I would put that in. And so I like to put in my vehicle length. So we have a 30-foot trailer, but if there's anything else that you want to put in there, you can. Okay, and then it's going to bring up a list of campsites that are available. And I'm making this video in the middle of the summer, and so it's actually surprising that there's this much availability that you can see here. But you can get on here 6 months in advance, and I highly recommend you do that because that will give you the most options, especially if you have a longer trailer or something bigger you're trying to fit in the campground. Those sites tend to go a lot faster than just the regular tent sites. So keep that in mind. But what I like to do is to get on recreation.gov in advance and look through the different campsites and see, maybe make a short list of the ones that I would prefer to stay in. And those are the ones that I'm going to try to get first when they release that reservation. And so that's what I recommend doing because you are booking a specific campsite. You're not just booking a general reservation. And so the site that you choose is the one that you will get. And so you'll want to do a little bit of research before you get on there, just so that you can make sure you get the right site for your equipment and for what you're needing. All right, so as I look at this, you can see, so there's like a few days here and there, but most of these are reserved. There's a little more availability over here, so I can change my dates to show you. But this one would work fine. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on that, and I wanna see kind of what it looks like. Actually, that looks like a great site. You can see that it does allow an RV up to 35 feet, so that's a big, long driveway. You can have a large tent, a small tent. Then I like to go down here. You can see a map of where it's at. Read through this and make sure that this is going to work for you. This has like what you'll be able to get into the campsite. This has more information for you, like the tent pad, what size that is. So if you're tent camping, you'll want to make sure that your tent will fit on that. That's a really big tent pad. And so this is actually a really great site. If you read down in here, you can see this one says it's not a riverside site, which I'm fine with. It's a little last minute, so I'm just happy to get something. And so that site looks fantastic. If we go back to the list of things, you'll see if you are a little bit more flexible on your dates, you can go through and you'll see there's some good availability in here. So yeah, some of these have tons of availability. Now, if I take you to the end of the booking season, you'll see, so the last day to book a site in this campground is the 26th of November. And then you'll see all these X's, and you might see this as you're looking around, but in this case, this just means that the campground is closed at this point, and so you can't stay here. Sometimes in these boxes, you'll see an NR, which means not released, and that just means that you're not within the booking window of that site. And so if you hover over it, if it says NR, it will tell you when you can book. But for this case, everything for this season, for this year, has been released, and this just means that the campground is going to close on this day. So keep that in mind as you're looking around. So I'm going back to my original site that I looked at. The other thing you'll want to notice is this one does say it's in the generator free loop, which is probably why it's available. This is a good RV site, but it's generator free. So a lot of people don't like to take those because they like to have power to their trailer. So, but then at that point, you'll add it to your cart. You want to make sure everything looks correct. You want to put in the equipment that you have, the number of vehicles you'll have. Make sure you read through all of this. This is important. And then you can continue on and finish out your reservation. What's surprising is that for a park that's as busy as Great Smoky Mountains, these campgrounds do typically have some pretty good availability. So you don't have to rush and stress out about getting a site. There often are sites available, even in the 3 campgrounds that are the most central. So get on there, get a good idea of what you want, and then do try to be on there pretty close to when they open up the reservations 6 months in advance so that you can get your top choices. But otherwise, that's what I recommend. And again, if you want to read about the individual campgrounds, there's just so many, then you can do that on dirtmyshoes.com. But I recommend Cades Cove, Elkmont, or Smokemont for your Great Smoky Mountains camping trip.